Welcome to Profiletraders. This is Reza and you're listening to my market analysis for January the 6th. As the first day of the trading of this year was an extraordinary, volatile and brutal kind of a day, so far the pattern has remained exactly the same as the first day of the year, which are extremely wide swings, oftentimes done during the overnight, then reversed during the day, then followed by the overnight, reversed during the day. And it's very logical and understandable why we are going through what we are going through. Let's take a very quick trip around the world and assess the situation. We're going to start with Europe. We are seeing a chronic recession that is lingering with a very high level of unemployment for many years, despite a very aggressive currency devaluation by the Central Bank of Europe and billions upon billions of stimulus injected into the market. They cannot jumpstart their economy. On the top of that, you now add to it this extremely complicated migrant crisis coming to Europe by millions, causing internal and external problems, which makes the situation over there economic wise very weak, very uncertain. Then we go to Middle East, a complete total utter disaster and a chaos, where now we are to a point where we have a direct conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran. On the top of that, you add the problems that we have with ISIS and the terrorist groups over there. Situation in Iraq is not improving. The situation in Afghanistan is deteriorating. And the whole region could go up to flame at any given time for any given reason, as the situation is extremely volatile over there. We go now to Asia. You have a Chinese economy that is dropping faster than a rock drops in the ocean. And despite all the trillions of dollars, all the stock market manipulation, all the currency devaluation, all the execution of short sellers, etc., they are still unable to jumpstart their economy. As the Chinese economy is suffering, it is to say that every country around the Chinese economy, that either being Vietnam, Taiwan, Thailand, Australia, you name it, they are also impacted and affected by a very nasty recession in the Chinese economy. Now we go to South America. We have the worst recession ever since the early 1900s in Brazil. Argentina is in recession as well. And the two main economies or three main economies of South America are all suffering. Now come to the US. We have a Federal Reserve that is in a complete total state of mismanagement and denial. In their bubble land and fantasy, this economy is doing so hot and so great that, matter of fact, their number one priority is not to cool it down with rate hikes. Where every other central banker in the world is in a crisis management, doing more and more stimulus and QE, somehow these geniuses believe that ours is so hot that they need to cool it down with rate hikes. And as short as last week, this crazy man by the name of William or something, a Fed guy, was out there talking about another 4 rate hikes for this coming year. Economy in Canada in a recession. So you add all these things together, then you understand why the market is in such a state of chaos. And the situation, without any doubt, can get worse, and it can become worse very, very fast. The pattern so far is that every single end of the day, you can go and check out your charts for the last several sessions. The Federal Reserve, they don't even have shame anymore. I mean, they don't even have shame. Every single of the day, they come, they reverse the day session to the very high, as you can see it here, took it to the very high. Only when the overnight collapse, it collapses from a higher ground and they don't look too bad. Yesterday again, from the low, close at the very high. When we dropped from a much higher ground. The impact was lesser. Today again, came down as we approached the overnight low. The last 45 minutes of the market, Godzilla rally kicked in, and then they closed it much closer to the high than we were to the low. So they can manipulate, they can artificially do whatever they want. They will not change this chaotic situation around the globe. And based on my personal expectation, things are not gonna get better anytime soon. Therefore, embrace yourself for extreme volatility, very fast markets, very dangerous markets, and this may go on for several weeks and months. From a daily point of view on the S&P, we are without any question in a very short-term downtrend, and this whole last leg up that was a retracement from the last Chinese crisis crash should completely and entirely be retraced, where price would come down then towards 1878 or so. The only thing that is slightly saving the market at this stage is because we are going into earnings season, and there is still some wishful thinking from the earnings player gamblers that if they buy the Amazons, and if they buy the Apples, and if they buy the Netflix, and if they buy the Priceline, they will be bailed out by the earnings, as it has been the case for the last several earnings season. But this time, if the earnings comes and go and the market doesn't give you a significant rally to the upside, the downside could become very severe, very, very significant, and very, very fast. As far as right now, in order to do anything significant in terms of a reversal to the upside, we need to breach through 95.5 to 98.5. We continue to remain below those two levels. The downside continuation should follow through. Of course, because they managed to manipulate it and close it towards the middle of the day's range, no one can deny that now the main support to break is 1970. We do break 1970. I believe that the next stop is 1950, and 1950 breaks. I believe we're going to have a one-shot drop of 30, 40, 50 points direct to 1900. If they can manage to manipulate this one up and clear through 98.5, we should then go delete all these areas of thin profile up there and possibly hit a level between 2012 to 2015. So that's for ES. Now for crude, the genocide to the downside is continuing, and next time that you hear the word OPEC, please send me an email, because I want to sit down and laugh, because there is no more OPEC existing. Every single member of the OPEC is the sworn enemy of the other, and the moment they set quotas and they leave their office, they're on their cell phone laughing at the other member and talking how they're gonna go home and cheat those numbers and sell more oil than the quotas under the table to raise more money to finance their economies. And you add to that now that Iran and Saudi Arabia want to eat each other's eyes. Therefore, there is no more OPEC, there is no more hope of a controlled market, and it's a free-for-all. As the price of oil is collapsing more and more, they are becoming more and more desperate to sell as much as they can, even if it's significantly below price, in order to get some food on the table and be able to feed the nations. So it is definitely looking absolutely horrendous with a close at the very, very low. The first level of resistance now is at 34.58. Second level of resistance comes in at 35.15. Third level of resistance 35.48, and then finally 36. As far as the downside goes, I do not know. I don't have any clue if support from 7-8 years ago are going to hold, or truly this is going to melt down further. Obviously, this is not all good. It is good for the guys driving the big trucks and consuming tons of gas, but it will put a lot of drilling, smaller oil companies, manufacturer of equipment to the oil industry. A lot of people will go out of business, and as a lot of people will go out of business, there will be billions upon billions of unpaid debt that they did undertake that they are not going to be able to pay back. So it will, without any question or doubt, very, very soon create extraordinary negative impact in some sector of the economy. As $34 a barrel, it's quite of a disaster and a catastrophe. So if it comes up to one of these levels, we should encounter resistance. As far as the downside go, I do not know how much further it may or may not be able to push down. Finally, gold woke up a little bit, but nothing really spectacular. I mean, it went from overnight close of 1086 to a high of 1095. At least it's getting close to 1100. On the daily chart, I start to see strong candles up with a very nice volume backing it up. So short term, it is looking good. Now the main key will be 1100. If we pierce through 1100 without much of a resistance, possibility of seeing 1140 to 1160 by the end of the month is very much so into play. Therefore, support number one right now is nowhere else but the POC below at 1078. Past that level, 1067.5, then 1060 and 1053.9. Resistance will become at 1100 as your main resistance number one. 1100 cleared, then we should go towards 1120 and then 1150, and then at 1150 I'm sure we will have time to evaluate things. This was Reza with Profiletraders.com. Thank you for listening, and if you wish to get my courses and join my trading room, you can get it all from my website, Profiletraders.com. Price is $575, money back guaranteed, and you get 5 courses and 1-year trading room membership where you can watch and trade with me every day in my trading room. Have a wonderful evening. Talk to you tomorrow.